Welcome to Ill-Equipped History, where two best friends tell you something super crazy from history that you didn't ask for, and we're doing anyway. I'm Morgan, joined by my best friend and co-host, Emileigh.
Hey, y'all!
And we have really exciting news that we just found out about, and it's also your last chance for...
Yes! We are finalists in the podcast awards.
Oh my god. We're in the top 10 for the history category.
What? Oh my god! We're dying. Okay.
Oh my god.
Perish, expiring.
We are expired. Oh my god. Like, we saw the email and we were like, wait.
What?
Wait.
What?
You guys, it's all because of you.
Thank you.
We love you so much.
Oh my god.
I can't believe it. Oh my gosh, what if we win?
I'm shooketh at the thought.
I can't.
I cannot.
Oh, but anyway, so go, if you... Please vote for us at podcastawards.com. We are in the history category. And just vote for us and we would love to win. And we just can't believe we're finalists. Like, Emily was like, we're like nominated for something. We are on like a list. Like, we made a list for something.
I am like out of words. Like, that's the only thing I can think of is like, we're nominated? What? So thank y'all.
Thank you so much for voting for us and getting us to this point. Literally, it said final slate. So we have made it through whatever hoops we had to get through to get to this point.
Yeah. We did the damn thing. Y'all did the damn thing.
It's all you guys. You are listeners that we love more than anything. It's all you guys.
It is all you. So thank you.
Also, our dumb butts were like, oh my gosh, we're in 4th place, not realizing the list was alphabetical.
We're like, oh my god, we're the best. What? 4th place? No. We just start with an I. So, you win some, you lose some.
You know how it goes. So, but we'll be, we should have already been posting stuff to social media. Again, this is way in the past. But we'll have been posting stuff to our social media. So if you haven't yet, please go vote for us. It's
your last chance.
Last chance. Voting closes on September 3rd. So please make sure you vote before September 3rd because you'll make poor Todd mad if you miss your deadline.
And poor Todd. That was Todd at the podcast awards. It's like a choice of what is it? Choice awards?
Yeah.
Public choice awards, something like that.
People's choice awards, something.
People's choice. Wow, I forgot the word people.
The public choice.
Public choice. I was like, why can I not think? It starts with a P. But poor Todd sent us this email, and I don't know who did him wrong, but it seems like a lot of people. So, Todd, on behalf of, we're sorry.
We didn't even do anything yet, but we're sorry.
We're sorry if we've done anything
to inconvenience you or make your life harder. Thank you for this is like the 19th annual. Like, thank you for putting this on for 19 years. Like, I'm sure it's a thankless job and you're doing a great job.
He did say, loosely quoting, you cannot have this turned in unless someone dies. So
late. It can't be late unless someone dies.
Can't turn it in. Yeah, sorry. Can't turn it in late unless someone dies. So I don't know. Todd's having a hard go at it, I think.
He's like, do your shit and everything will be nice and smooth, which I also agree with. If everyone just did their shit, there wouldn't be any problems. I feel that in my soul. Samesies. All right. So yeah, that's what we have to say about that. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. How are you, Emma?
I'm good. I'm vibing. By the time this comes out, school will have been in for a few weeks, so I'm sure I will continue to vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I've already got a brunch lined up.
Yay!
So we're starting school off right.
I love that for you.
Yeah, thank you. How are you?
I'm also vibing. It's a little bit more of like this ultra vibration spectrum where I'm like,
Yeah.
But I'm excited to try out some things. I spoke with a colleague, and I think I'm going to further explore like the sound stuff I talked about a few months ago, where I apparently I'm like, I was talking with her and she's super into sound stuff. She was like, you seem to be very receptive. You should like start listening to these hertz. And I was like, are you interested in the sound bath? And she was like, oh my God, yes, please. So we might do that. And Emily, next time you come to Nashville, we can do it. Like,
yeah,
we'll
I'm
figure
here for
out.
it. Listen, I think by the time this episode airs, I will have had brunch, I will have had a massage, and Jeep Invasion this weekend. The weekend that, like, after this. So when this... Wait, what'd you say, the 29th?
It'll be the 29th. So I will be on my way to come to you on Thursday evening. Tonight.
My gosh.
Tonight I'm on my way to come to you. So we can do...
In the future.
So, because we are going to do the stuff for our bonus episode that we're not telling you about. It's a secret.
Yeah, but we're doing it on August the 30th. So that's coming up.
Have time to prepare.
Yes.
Get everything ready for our very special October bonus episode.
I am so excited. I literally cannot wait to tell everybody what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And maybe we'll put like a sneak peek, some pictures or something that are like kind of still anonymous, but
we'll give the vibe.
Guys, I've been wanting to do this for years. So.
I'm so scared.
This is going to be so much more intense than the Bell Witch Cave.
Oh, yeah.
That one was child's play compared to what we're about to go do. So
you're making me more nervous.
I mean, in like I feel like possible activity.
Yeah, I know. I'm scared.
Which still would make you nervous. Yeah, I'm thinking back on the death grip you had in my on my hand in the cave. So. I might have my circulation back now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, just now, almost a year later.
Just now, yeah.
You need to get some of your old lady socks on your hands there.
Well, I have them on my feet.
You need it for your hands if you're just now getting your circulation back.
Hi, do you make compression gloves?
I'm sure they do, or just like cut holes in your socks, and then there you go. You have gloves.
Or I could do mittens.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, let's do stuff.
Yeah, let's do our skit. Yay.
Okay. Cool.
The year is 43 CE in Mutina, Italy. The city is being besieged by Mark Antony and is being protected by one of Caesar's generals, Decimus Brutus. Sir, all of our attempts to get messages out to our consuls have been interrupted. They literally slashed our last messenger in half.
Damn it! That's our 8th guy. We can't keep getting them chopped to pieces.
What do we do, sir?
We have to make contact with the consuls. We need to let them know what's going on.
The men consider their options. Then, Brutus looks toward the aviary.
Wait. I have an idea. Quick, to the aviary. I have the perfect messengers.
So Emily and our Patreon listeners may know about this, but a very long time ago, for our second bonus episode, we covered war animals. And one of the animals I covered was a pigeon named Cher Ami. And I was like, there seems to be a lot to homing pigeons. So eventually, I'm going to cover homing pigeons. Well, this is that episode. I'm covering the history.
A year later. Also,
I just have to say, how cute are pigeons. Like, they're super round bodies and their little heads, and they're just so cute.
They are adorable.
Yes, and they've been
Absolutely
around
adorable.
for a very long time.
Ooh.
I was not expecting the history of pigeons to be what it is. So let's get started. What are homing pigeons? And when I was doing my research, I kept finding slightly different answers. I've seen some sources say that homing pigeons are distinct from the pigeons that we see in cities. Mm-hmm. But they're also the same species. So from what I could gather, homing pigeons just have the extra training to be homing pigeons, from what I could gather.
So it's like a dog going to a dog show versus...
just like a random dog or a mutt.
The lump of lazy I have on the couch right now.
Yeah. That's kind of what...
Okay.
Or like a police dog or
right.
Like some kind of dog with a job versus like a stray, I guess.
Right.
So their Latin classification is Columba livia domestica. They have several alternative names as well. They're called male pigeons, messenger pigeons, rock doves, rock pigeons.
I thought you meant male like boy. And I was like...
No, like M-A-I-L.
But they're girl pigeons.
There are girl pigeons.
There are girl pigeons. Okay. Yeah, got it. Okay.
So from what I could tell, they're the same species. They're the same thing. And modern pigeons are thought to have evolved from the Mediterranean rock dove.
Okay.
They were... Again, I saw different things. Apparently, pigeons have, like, a long, complicated history that no one can quite agree on. But they were domesticated between 5,000 and 10,000 years ago.
Huh?
Uh-huh.
Huh?
Uh-huh. One source I read saw they were domesticated almost right after the dog. But others seem to put it about 5,000 years after that. So, who's to say?
That's a long time ago.
It is a very long time ago. And they're mostly used for food and domestic purposes. Because from very early on, humans have noticed they have this homing ability, which I will get into in a little bit. But it's been used basically like all this time.
Wow.
So also, pigeons are generally just pretty chill. Like, they're not like other birds that are like super skittish and fly away. Like, they're generally pretty comfortable around people, very easily trainable. They can have, in captivity, they can have up to a 10 to 15 year lifespan.
Wow.
One in like the early 20th century was documented to have lived up to the age of 31, which was crazy. That's like double the lifespan of regular pigeons.
That's an old ass pigeon.
It's an old ass pigeon. Oh, I'm just imagining it like its feathers are all kind of crinkly and it's just like old and frail. It's like, ooh,
he's missing some feathers.
Yeah.
Oh.
So historically, ever since people really started using pigeons consistently, they have been used to deliver messages over distances. They've also been used for racing, other different types of sports. Mm-hmm. Their homing instinct is extremely reliable. They can fly between 600 to 700 miles in a day without stopping.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm. And can fly between 40 and 60 miles per hour. They move faster than horses.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Consistently, like not just short bursts, but like just cruising.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You know the name of this guy, Pliny the Elder. He has a whole book that he wrote about different animals, and he has a section about pigeons that he wrote about, and he wrote about how they mate for life. They will keep the same nest. I know. It's so cute. It was also really funny when I was reading the chapter, he attributed a lot of human characteristics where, like, the female will suspect the male of infidelity, but he will never cheat on her. He will always be loyal to her.
Sounds like you were getting a lot off your chest.
I know. And the female pigeon handles the shenanigans of the male pigeon. Like, it was stuff like that. I'm like, okay, like, they are birds. Like,
yeah, you do know they're birds, right? Like,
but he was also speaking about how they carried messages by people attaching stuff to their legs and they would go off and fly. And the Romans liked having pigeons around so much, they started building lofts and dovecotes on them on the roofs of buildings around Rome.
Oh.
They just thought they were super chill. So how do homing pigeons work? Like, how does this homing instinct happen? And when I say homing instinct, like, they can find their way home from anywhere, up to a distance of about almost 1,200 miles. Sorry.
What?
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me that here in East Tennessee, I could let a pigeon go that lived in Denver, Colorado, and it would fly the fuck home?
Mm-hmm.
Just because it wanted to be home?
Mm-hmm. They just know how to get home. That's why they're called homing pigeons. They can home from anywhere. So there have been a lot of experiments to figure out how this happens.
Yeah.
So I didn't go into like super detail because there have been a lot of studies over a lot of years about all the different studies that have happened. But generally, from what researchers have gathered, the pigeons will identify their home at about 6 weeks of age. So they do need to stay, if they're going to be homing pigeons, they need to stay in the same location for about 6 weeks to establish their home.
Okay.
And it will keep this home throughout its lifespan, no matter where it goes or for how long. There was one research group that kept a group of pigeons for 7 years, and they still found their way back to their home loft after 7 years away. And granted, I don't think they were far, because they were within the state of Massachusetts, but still.
Wow. 7 years. I've forgotten where places are in my hometown.
And you still live, like, close by.
I do. It's a reasonable distance. I'm still there often.
No, they just know. It's an instinct.
Wow.
So researchers have proposed there's a 2-step, like, model or process to how pigeons home. So there's a map that they develop, and it's not like what we imagine as a map. There's not like a visual guide, but it's literally they just know the direction they're supposed to go in. That's their map. Right. And then the second prong is a compass to help them determine which direction it is they go.
Okay.
But and pigeons will fly in like a straight line. So they know like, okay, I need to fly this direction, and they'll fly in that direction to get home. Like it's insane.
They're just running on vibes. They're like, home feels this way.
Yeah. And they're right. So
all the time. Oh my God.
There's several theories as to how this homing instinct works. So the first one that people are looking at is sight or the sun. Like, do they use the sun to navigate? Do they have a solar compass? When it comes to sight, they have tried... It makes me laugh to think about. They put like little goggles on the pigeons.
So they look like little aviators, little birds flying little planes.
I know.
Did they put a scarf on them too?
I know, I wish. The goggles like altered their vision. So I guess they didn't want to permanently blind the poor things, but they altered their vision so they couldn't see as well. And for the most part, they were still able to home correctly.
Oh.
They were also, there's a study that was done where pigeons were kept in a box and they were supposed to a light that was supposed to imitate the sun, but it was off. Like by 6 hours. And it was in like in increments, but like the most they got was 6 hours. And that was seen like when the pigeons were released, they were found to like leave at a different angle than other pigeons who hadn't been exposed to like this experiment, but they did like course correct and were able to home correctly. So it looks like the angle of the sun does have something to do with how like the direction they start off in. But if those pigeons that were on the altered time, like had their time altered, were released on an overcast day, there was no change in the direction they took off in.
Huh.
So it does look like the sun does have something to do with it.
Yeah.
And it's theorized if they use polarized light and or ultraviolet light.
Okay.
They're still figuring that out. Another theory is magnetism. Do they detect the Earth's magnetic field and use that as a literal compass to navigate?
Ley lines.
It was so funny. Ley lines actually didn't show up, but something else popped up that's not really supernatural, but was really creepy, which I'll get into in a second.
Okay.
It's not, like, intrinsically creepy. I thought it was really creepy because it just, like, weirded me out. But it's not anything that's unnatural. But there was a wood tunnel experiment that altered the magnetic fields that pigeons were surrounded by, like, for extended periods of time. And then they would have, like, a magnet attached to their beak, or their beaks would be numbed. And then they would be let loose. And it impaired their ability to navigate in the box. So, like, they had to go from, like, one point to another within the box. And if their magnetic field was altered a little bit, they didn't really know where to go. They got lost within the box.
Okay.
And it's thought that pigeons have magnetite in their beaks that help them, like, literally become a compass, dependent on the Earth's magnetic field.
That actually makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And there's another experiment that was done where magnetic head coils with either northern or southern alignments were, like, placed on the pigeons' heads. And that impacted their ability to determine, like, which way they were going to go, also dependent on the sun. But what they noticed is, like, if the sun was out, the magnetic coils didn't have as much of an impact. But if it was an overcast day, they could leave from, like, opposite directions. So if the sun wasn't a player.
So the sun and the magnets almost seem to be working as, like, a backup from each other. If one's not working, the other works. And if the other's not working, one works.
You're getting into something I will talk about in a little bit.
Ooh, okay.
So another theory, and another thing I noticed is that all these experiments are trying to test these different skills in isolation. Which, spoiler alert, they don't think they're isolated within the pigeon. They use all of them. But the next one is smell.
Yeah.
Like, their sense of smell, they can, like, detect, like, a certain area will have a certain smell dependent on, like, the nature that's there, any factories in the area, just the climate itself. So there are some pigeons that had their olfactory nerves cut and or were exposed to limited airflow, like natural airflow, and then were shipped in a box that had no kind of airflow in it at all. They weren't exposed to any kind of natural environment while they were being transported. And even filtered air, like charcoal filtered air, all had different impacts. All impacted the pigeon's ability to home.
Huh.
There is another experiment that was done, and I'm sorry guys, there is, like, animal experimentation that's done in this. I wasn't super thrilled about that. Yeah. I don't know the lasting effects these experiments had. Scientists are going to scientist, unfortunately.
Yeah. So
there was a group of pigeons that had their magnetic sensing nerve, I guess, system blocked or cut in a certain way. And there's another group of birds that had their olfactory nerve cut, and then a control group who were left alone. And they were released 30 miles from their loft. The smell-altered birds had significantly lower abilities to make it back to their home than the ones with the altered magnetic ability.
Oh.
So it looks like smell also plays a really big part in their ability to home. And then the last one that...
What happened to the ones that couldn't make it?
I know. I hope they were found.
Oh.
So the last one that was researched that came up was their sense of hearing. And there was one study that was done in New York, and pigeons that were consistently brought to one location could not make their way home. And they're like, what is it? Like, what is it about this one spot? I think it was outside of Cornell University, and I think the town was, like, Jersey City. And none of the birds, like, that were in Jersey City, even after multiple attempts, could not home back to Cornell. So, like, what is going on? The issue is that, so there's something, and this is what kind of creeped me out a little bit, there's something called infrasounds. And these are, like, the lowest wavelengths of sound.
Oh.
We cannot hear these sounds. These are sounds that tectonic plates make.
What?
In the Earth's crust. Like, these are, like, low sounds we could never, ever perceive. And pigeons can hear them.
Oh, I got nauseous. I don't...
0.05 hertz.
How noisy is life? if the pigeons can hear the tectonic fucking plates move.
That's probably why people think they're dumb, because they're just bumping into things. So they're like, I'm just overwhelmed with sound constantly.
So loud here. Oh no.
So what they found is that, I know, that's why I was like, oh my God.
I'm so stressed.
So what they found is that this particular site where the pigeons couldn't home, there was something that was like blocking the infrasounds. And the pigeons could not home from this location because of the infrasounds. And it was very consistent how they got lost.
So they know what the sounds of the tectonic plates sound like at home?
I think so.
What?
It's so crazy. And I think it's other things like other types of things that make vibrations that we can't perceive. Like if there's like a drill that's really far away, like we wouldn't be able to hear it, but the sound is still coming through the earth. Just stuff like that. So, which is probably all of the above. It's just crazy to think about like a pigeon like 1,200 miles away, still using all of these things to be like, yep, I know where home is. And fly in a straight line to that location. Like knowing intrinsically which direction is home, no matter where they go.
Wow.
So from what I gathered from all the research that I read about the pigeons is that all of these factors are combined in some way to help the pigeon home. And all of these different systems are also redundancies. So if like one goes out, the pigeon can rely on the others to make up for that lost sense.
Right.
Which is what we see. Like if their magnetism detection is altered, they'll use their sense of sight with the sun or smell or their hearing or whatever. And it also explains why different researchers have had wildly different results in the years that they've been researching homing pigeons. Like no two researchers' experiments are the same.
Well, and you know what? No one's being like, because, okay, most researchers are like, I have the right answer. Mm-hmm. All of you guys are dumb. Mm-hmm. I feel it's very rare where they're like, maybe we're all right.
Mm-hmm. And again, and like, I understand you have to check out like the different factors, but
of course,
so many of these studies are just looking at one thing at a time as well.
Yeah.
When there's multiple things. But all in all, like researchers still aren't 100% sure. Like this is just what the current research that has been conducted can tell us, but no one still knows fully like how they do this, especially at such great distances.
Wild.
So, yeah, and because of this natural homing instinct, they've been used since ancient times as reliable message carriers because of their ability to home. So the training of homing pigeons probably originated in ancient Persia.
Uh-huh.
And was later adopted by ancient Greeks and Egyptians.
Oh.
So it's been around for a while. And I actually have a picture. Emily, the first one I have here, this is bringing back to our boy King Akhenaten. He founded a city called Amarna off the Nile.
He did.
And these paintings of pigeons were found in the city.
No shit.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy is that scientists were like, but we can't really find any evidence of pigeons actually living here. Like, there's no, like, there's something called a dovecote that were found all over, like, Egypt and the Nile and, like, all over the place. That were basically, like, a giant stone nest that the pigeons lived in. But none were found in Amarna. And really, it's just, like, been a few bones that they think were just, like, meals that the workers who built Amarna ate.
So were they brought there and then released to go back home?
What they think is that whoever painted the murals just thought pigeons were pretty. And just used them for like decoration.
That's wild.
This city was from 3,300 years ago.
Yeah, this is King Tut's dad we're talking about.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Dovecotes have been found all along the Nile River dating back 2,000 years ago. But like I said, none have been found in Amarna.
Well, and you know what? Even if they weren't there, that doesn't mean that they didn't have experience with them.
Right,
and that they weren't being used in other areas. Amarna was only a city for as long as King Akhenaten was alive. Which
it was only like 20
wasn't
years,
very
right?
long. Yeah. They tore that shit down because Akhenaten wanted to turn it into a one god worshipping society. So when he died, they're like, let's forget all that shit and tore it down. So maybe they just didn't have the opportunity to have the pigeons there.
Because it was so short-lived.
Right.
But there is a city called Mitzgmar, which is 170 miles north of Amarna, and hundreds of dovecotes have been found there.
Wow.
And there's a quote by Colin Gerolmack from Atlas Obscura that I got. Quote, pigeons have been in cities as long as we've had cities. So pigeons have always been around. Probably because we domesticated them, like, second thing. Right? Like, right after dogs, and we have pigeons.
Dogs, pigeons, the cats just came because they decided.
They just wanted to. Yeah. And what, like, pigeons also, like, that's probably why they got domesticated pretty soon, is because they started coming around, like, fields where people were, like, growing stuff because it's easy pickings. And they were like, all right, well, you're a fat little bird. You might be tasty. Oh, like, you can also deliver messages. Cool. So ancient Egyptians would use pigeons to communicate about the Nile and, like, any flooding that was happening up and down the Nile. Here's another quote. They delivered the results of the first Olympics in 776 BCE. And more than 2,500 years later, they brought news to London of Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo.
I'm so nauseous right now. In the holy shit, that's old. Oh, I have chills. What?
Pigeons have been used forever. They have literally been the quickest and most reliable way to deliver messages until the telegraph was invented.
And there's still homing pigeons out there.
I'll get into a little bit at the end about, like, modern uses of pigeons.
Right.
There's one, like, really funny story that maybe I laugh a lot. Pigeons were also worshipped as fertility goddesses in Mesopotamia.
Okay.
Some famous people that I know, right? See, they are girls.
Yeah, there are girls. They're not just males.
King Solomon, Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan, and Hannibal all used pigeons to send messages. Emily needs a moment, y'all.
Whoa.
They've been used in warfare since the siege of Mutina in 43 BC, which is where our skit came in, where Decimus Brutus, who was besieged by Mark Antony, was able to communicate with consuls outside of the city about the besiegement, when all other methods of trying to communicate were quashed by Mark Antony's army. Okay.
Why did they not think about that sooner? Why did they kill 8 people?
That was
before.
Okay, no, that was just me. Like, the whole skit was very much artistic license. It was not rooted in history. But still,
it took them that long. Like, these bitches have been around. They have a whole aviary full of them. Like, use that first.
I know.
Come on, buddy.
All I saw was that, like, they had been trying other methods and they didn't work. And until they finally used a pigeon, because it flew over their heads, and what were they going to do? They were also used consistently during the Middle Ages. The Sultan in Cairo was actually made aware of King Louis IX's invasion of Egypt in 1249. Wow. Through messenger pigeon. They were essentially the postal system in Baghdad from 1150 to 1258. William of Orange tried to send a message via pigeon in 1573 when Haarlem, in the Netherlands, was besieged, but it was intercepted by the Spanish, who then tried to kill every bird they saw after they intercepted this carrier pigeon.
Oh.
I know.
Oh, no.
Nathan Rothschild kept track of Napoleon's conquest and his shenanigans going on in France, and his ability to, like, use the pigeons helped inform London of everything that was going on with Napoleon. They were used during the French Revolution to deliver messages. And they helped set up a news-gathering empire, a quote-unquote news-gathering empire. So in 1850, Paul Julius Reuter set up essentially a stock exchange newsletter between Brussels and Aachen, which were, quote, terminal points of the German and French-Belgian telegraph lines. And that's from historyofinformation.com. This information service was named Reuters, like the news organization Reuters.
Oh.
Reuters. Which is still a news organization today.
What? It started as carrier pigeons?
Mm-hmm.
No shit.
He started with, like, Oh, I thought I wrote it down. It was like 45 pigeons. The pigeons could deliver information in 2 hours, while it took 8 from the to deliver news by the railroad.
Wow.
So that's why, he really was able to set up his empire. Yeah. And in 1851, he set up Reuters News in London and had not only telegraph lines, but a fleet of over 200 pigeons that he used to spread news.
So, question. Do they, say you have a home base in London, in the middle of London, and you've got different locations outside the city. Say, I don't know what cities surround London, whatever towns or whatever. But say you got towns outside or, wherever. Are they two-way? One pigeon is going to go directly so you have 50 pigeons for 50 different locations. You need to go to Didlington Castle because that's the only thing I can remember. And so you have the pigeon for Didlington. You give it the note and it goes there. And then how does it get back? Does somebody put it in a cage and bring it back?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
They can only home to where their home is. I'll go ahead. I don't think I really go into how, they were used in wartime, but not how they were used in wartime. So really, how they're trained is that pigeons are raised in their loft for 6 weeks. Okay. And they are this is home. So what they would do is they would gather the pigeons and they would put them in crates or baskets or whatever. In one case, it was balloons. And they would transport the pigeons so far away.
Okay.
And then they would attach information to the pigeons and let them go. And then the pigeons would go back to their loft. But they did make portable lofts. They were a little bit trickier to use, but...
Okay.
And they weren't quite as consistent, but they were able to make a system of portable lofts where they could travel, but they still had to be taken away from the home loft and sent back. They couldn't go just back and forth and back and forth.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how does the portable one work?
I think it was attached to a truck of some kind. It was mostly during active wartime when they needed to move around. But again, they weren't very consistent, so they weren't heavily used. It was more at some kind of communication home base. They would have a loft. Right. And then out in the field, they would take the pigeons. And then as things happen, they would send the pigeons back to the home base where the center of communications was. And then they, from there, could use telegraph lines to get information out from there.
Okay. And then if they needed to take the pigeons back...
They would transport them back.
They would if they could. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Charles Darwin wrote about them in his first... He was so infatuated with pigeons. They were the first in his book, The Origin of Species.
What?
And actually, his publisher was you should write a book just about pigeons. And he was no. But he was... a pigeon fancier, which is a pigeon breeder. They're called fanciers or fanciers.
That's fancy.
I know. And they're just pigeons. Cute little pigeons.
Cute little pigeons.
Their biggest and most recent, well, not most recent, but there was a war between 1870 and 1871 called the Franco-Prussian War. And this war kept showing up in my research. And it was at the time, it was the biggest use of homing pigeons for wartime, from what I could gather, ever.
Yeah.
360 pigeons were transferred to the front lines of this war in 64 balloons.
Balloon?
Just chilling in balloons, and they were sent out.
How? Inside the balloons?
I think they were in a basket attached to a balloon.
Thought of
inside the balloon.
I was it's gonna suffocate. Okay, so they're in cages, in balloons, and they got sent out via balloon. Wow.
302 were sent back to their loft without any training. Some having to travel distance over 120 miles.
And what was the original number out?
360.
So they only lost 58?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
This is a kind of a sad number, which they may not have all been going back to Paris, but only 98 made it back to Paris.
Oh.
So I think some got lost. I think some were shot down. Because the enemy was like targeting, they knew pigeons were being used for messages, so they were like targeting flying birds. But 98 were able to make it back to Paris, and over 1 million microscopic messages were received with these pigeons. So what they would do is they would I was trying to look into it, I couldn't explain it, but they would type something out and they would use photo lenses to make it imperceptibly tiny and attach messages to the pigeon's feathers, and they're able to do I tried looking into it. I didn't really understand it, but it was some kind of micro communication they were using in the 1870s.
What?
And attaching it to their tail feathers and just letting them go.
That's crazy.
And it was after this war that a lot of places in Europe were really ramping up their doves or their pigeon service productions.
Yeah.
And they got a lot better at training their pigeons. This is a much better statistic, and I'll talk a little bit more about World War II here going in, but less than 5% of homing pigeons during World War I. Less than 5% of World War I homing pigeons were killed during active service.
Wow. That's none.
Yeah, it's
compared.
Yeah, comparatively. So Germany was the first to establish an official military pigeon service, but the highest quality of pigeons were bred in Belgium.
Ah, yes.
And in Portugal started theirs in 1875, but it took until 1903 before it was fully utilized. And this was a Portuguese article, that's why there's a lot about Portugal specifically, but really they were used internally in Portugal in World War I. And when the Portuguese Expeditionary Corps went to Flanders, they used British pigeons there. And then, this is kind of a funny, sad story. So there was an officer from the PEC, the Portuguese Expeditionary Corps, who was gifted a basket of homing pigeons from the British forces. He thought they were a snack. So he cooked them all up. And didn't even realize they were supposed to be homing pigeons until he wrote a letter thank you for the tasty meal. And they were no, those were homing pigeons.
Oh no.
I know. It's so sad.
Oh no.
I know. And apparently pigeons are good eaten too.
Oh no. Damn.
Because they're little chunky birds. Even though they're so cute.
They are little chunky. I've seen some fat pigeons in my day.
Uh-huh. They're chunky. City pigeons are well fed. So now we'll talk about some famous pigeons. Because there's been a lot of notable war hero pigeons. I won't go into detail with all of them, but some were some other names were President Wilson, Queasy Bill, Big Tom, Kaja Boy, Spike, and Mocker.
Spike.
So Mocker survived serious injuries to his head and lost an eye delivering a message in 1918 and was still alive when the article I was reading was written in 1933. And he was still alive and his blood is being used for blood transfusions for other pigeons.
Oh, bless his soul. Oh my God. A true war hero. Oh, Mocker.
I know. And then there was Spike, who is described as, quote, never a handsome bird.
He was an ugly bird. It was an ugly duckling. Not duckling, but ugly pigeon.
Ugly pigeon. But he delivered 52 messages during World War I.
Listen, you don't have to be good looking to deliver 52
you
messages.
Don't.
And they should have put more respect on his name.
That
was uncalled for.
Apparently he has sired several spectacular offspring, several of which have won national races and
well, were they ugly too?
Things. I don't know.
So rude.
His offspring were not described.
They're they got worse.
I know. Ooh, these are some ugly ass pigeons.
I'm imagining like a pigeon, but like Hey Hey from Moana, just a little wonky.
That's so funny. I think that's accurate. There's another one named Rheingold, who he was the only surviving enemy pigeon at the time of the article, written in 1933. And this was before World War II, so this was just like describing the World War.
Oh, okay.
And he was captured from the Germans. And this was a quote from the article, quote, "He is spending his last days in the same loft with Spike and Mocker, and one cannot help but wonder if they do not frequently reminisce on their World War experiences."
They're just up there in their loft, just chit-chatting.
Just chilling.
Back when I was in the war. I got shot.
When I was with the Germans. So there's another pigeon named Do-X. I think it's Do-X. It's D-O-X. Flew 100 miles from the sea and landed at its home loft at Fort Monmouth. This is in like the U.S. But another pigeon refused to leave the ship. And, quote, "He was finally returned to Fort Monmouth in a basket." Because he wouldn't leave the ship. They kept trying to get him. They were doing, like, an experiment, and Do-X, like, flew, like, from the ocean. From the middle of the ocean, 100 miles out off the coast, flew back to his loft. Great. The other pigeon was like, "Nah, I'm good." And they literally were like, I'm just imagining them carrying him, like, a little basket, being like, "Here you go."
I'm imagining they open the door, they try to shake him out. He's got his wings out. He's holding on to the door like, "I ain't going."
No, I don't want
No!
it. I'm scared of the ocean.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I can't smell shit. I can't see shit. I can't magnetize shit. I can't see the sun. I hate this. No, it's wet.
Then there was Cher Ami, who I talked about in our bonus episode, but he was a pigeon during World War I who communicated the location of the, quote, lost battalion, which was a battalion of Allied troops who were lost behind enemy lines. And he was seriously injured. He was shot in the leg and the chest. And actually the message that was attached to him was still attached to his leg, but his leg was barely attached to his body. It was like a piece of skin holding his little leg onto his body. And he did die the next year, 1919, probably due to his injuries. But he was awarded the French, I don't know how to say this. I think it's essentially the French Cross. I don't want to butcher this pronunciation. He was inducted in the Racing Pigeon Hall of Fame and is currently on display at the Smithsonian National Museum of American History.
Him and his one leg.
I know. And there's another pigeon named G.I. Joe who...
Does he have an outfit? Oh, I can't.
I wish he did. He rescued a French village from American bombardment after it was recaptured by British forces. So it saved this whole village from enemy fire. His name was G.I. Joe.
Oh my God. Okay, so when you keep saying that he saved obviously I know in my logical brain that he is delivering messages. What I'm picturing is him directing citizens to get out of a city. He's like, "Go, go, go! Get out while you can!"
Oh, I love that. I think that is a perfect way to imagine this.
Yeah, especially with his name is G.I. Joe. He's in an army outfit, like, uniform. He's got boots on.
a little bomber jacket.
Yeah.
And the aviator little goggles.
Yes. His little wings are flapping. Get out of here!
The Americans are coming! Go, go, go!
Go, go, go!
So one more specific pigeon I'm going to talk about for now. Her name was Winky. Something that the Royal Air Force did in World War II was that sometimes pigeons would be on bomber jets. Mm-hmm. And if the plane crashed, they would release the pigeon to, like, let them know they're at. Because this was before GPS and satellite. Like, no one would know where a plane was if it crashed. So Winky helped alert the Royal Air Force to a downed jet and lead them to the survivors' rescue.
Aw,
and she was
Winky.
she was the first to win the Dickin Medal, which we talked about in our episode of war animals winning the Dickin Medal of Service. The Dickin Medal was given... So there were a lot of animals that were given the Dickin Medal during World War II, but the pigeons had the highest count of any other species, with 32 Dickin Medals awarded to pigeons.
Damn, pigeons getting all the Dickin medals.
I know, and I think the next one was dogs.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, especially after World War I, pigeons were a lot more heavily used during wartime. The U.S. itself had 20,000 birds and 50 mobile lofts. Italy had 50,000. France had 60,000 and 400 mobile lofts. And Germany had over 150,000 pigeons and over 700 mobile lofts.
So many
pigeons.
Birds. Oh my God.
It's so many. They're reliable. And you can only set up telegraph lines and you got pigeons.
Yeah.
In 1917, the American Expeditionary Forces began setting up their own pigeon service. They had multiple lofts in the Army and the National Guard. And they were set up around the U.S. and Hawaii to train homing pigeons.
Right.
Night flyers were especially trained, because pigeons usually fly during the day and they sleep at night. Mm-hmm. But they especially trained some pigeons to fly exclusively at night. It's a little bit more...
They'd be harder to see, yeah.
Yes, and it's a little bit more difficult. They really could only go about 5 miles at night, but some were able to make it 16 miles.
Okay.
So I guess it just depended on the pigeon. And by the time World War II was like in full gear, the British used about 250,000 pigeons during World War II. Mostly used for correspondence with resistance fighters. Well, not mostly, but a lot of times, like, pigeons would be sent to areas with resistance fighters, and then they would, like, send the pigeons back with messages about what was going on. And then they were also... This made me laugh. I saw this in a YouTube video. Apparently, the CIA tried to use pigeons to spy on the USSR.
No.
During the Cold War. And this was called Project Tucana. And they strapped tiny cameras to pigeons. And they took like pretty reliable pictures. Like about half of the pictures that were taken were usable and like had information on them.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
Like, do you get on one side where, like, your target area is between where the pigeon is and where the pigeon is trying to go, and then just hit, like, start taking pictures and then let it fly?
I don't know. And in the video, it said, like, they were trying to figure out how to discreetly, like, let loose the pigeons, and, like, some were, like, trying to let them out of coats or, like, throw them out car windows. Like, while they're driving down the street, just, like, toss a pigeon out the window.
I like how they said discreet. Like, that wasn't the most obvious fucking thing.
I know!
What do you mean? Is this fucking David Blaine? Is this a magic trick? Open your coat and birds fly out? What the fuck?
Oh, I know. It's crazy.
Oh, no.
All right. So that's most of what I could find for the historical uses of pigeons. There's some modern uses of pigeons that I just thought were interesting or funny. So there was an article I found from the BBC that talked about how pigeons were being, the pigeon service was being retired in favor of the internet and email. And actually, I have a picture from the article and it made me laugh. So I included it. If you scroll down past Mocker and Cherami, there's a screen grab I have where it says Orissa police carrier pigeons facing the sack. And it just made me laugh a lot. Because they're being fired in favor of email. Fired. But this article was saying that pigeons were used in India since the between the 15 and 1700s.
Wow.
For carrier pigeons. As carrier pigeons. And this is a really funny story. It cracked me up. So, this takes place in 2009 in South Africa.
Okay. There's
an internet company called Telkom, and it was a primary service provider in South Africa. And it had notoriously shitty service. Like, it was just not reliable at all. So there was allegedly, there was an employee at a company called Unlimited IT, which is a tech company in South Africa. And he was so frustrated with the speed issues. He said, a carrier pigeon could be faster than this.
Right.
So they tried it. So they got a pigeon. I thought I wrote down. Oh, his name's Winston.
Oh, Winston!
Winston the pigeon. They got him. They strapped a 4 gig data, drive to his leg. And there were, certain circumstances there. He cannot have any... I can't even say this without laughing. He cannot have any performance-enhancing birdseed.
Do they make that? What?
They wanted it to be a true experiment, so he wasn't given any performance enhancers, and apparently no cats were allowed to be anywhere near either site.
What?
I guess to, the extra fear and, him getting scared of the cat, I guess. So, he left from the town called Horwick and flew to a town called Durban. It was about 50 to 60 miles. It took him 1 hour and 8 minutes to get there, and with an additional 2 hours, 6 minutes for the data to be downloaded to their hard drive.
Yeah.
So in total, it's about 3 hours.
Okay.
Between him leaving to them finishing the download. In the time it took for this 3 hours, only 4% of the same amount of data had been electronically sent through the Telkom service.
Oh my God.
So it's literally slower than a carrier
pigeon. Faster.
And at the time the article was written in 2009, it noted that South Africa was looking to install more fiber optic cables.
Oh, good. Thank God.
Area.
Surely by now.
Hopefully in 2024, things have improved a bit.
Yeah, we can hope so.
I just thought that was really funny.
Oh my God.
So, pigeons are also used in sports. I have a Fire Stick, and sometimes I just like to search, the topic and see if, a documentary pops up on, recommends and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'll see if there's anything on pigeons. There was 2 documentaries. I did not watch them, because I didn't know how they would relate to my topic specifically, but they were 2 very dramatic trailers.
Oh.
One looked like it was for this group of guys that looked like they're from South Central LA. Like the shirts they have, I think said South Central, but they trained pigeons to do flips.
Oh.
And it was very entertaining to see this very serious trainer about these guys who are super hard and be like, yeah, I train pigeons and my family doesn't agree with me. And it's just they release these pigeons and then the pigeons start just flipping so fast.
My mom and dad don't get my lifestyle. I just train these pigeons to flip, and it's my passion, bro. Don't you know that?
And it was such a serious trailer. And then the other one was even more serious. It had the blah sounds and
God,
the stingers and all that. And it was about pigeon racing. But it was just who do you think is going to win this year? I think it's going to be my dad. It was, and the dad was like, I'm going to win this year. And everyone else was like, if there's anyone you got to beat, it's Terry over there. And it was so serious and so dramatic. I was like, this is about pigeons.
This is birds.
Racing pigeons.
Birds.
But, it's been around for a long time. Apparently, pigeon racing may date back to 220 CE.
Huh?
Uh-huh. Or even further back. 2nd century. Or 3rd, I guess it would be 3rd century.
Oh. That's a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Or even further back. The longest pigeon race was over 1,800 kilometers, or about that 1,200-mile distance.
Wow.
Pigeon racing became super popular in Belgium in the mid-1800s, and they actually kind of created a new breed of pigeon called the Voyager, and they were specially developed for fast flight.
Wow.
And then there's a note about the trailers I saw. So the last little thing I have about pigeons and their modern use is they're used to transport drugs.
Oh, no.
So pigeons can carry up to 10% of their body weight, which is usually about 30 to 50 grams. This can mean about, because this is a BBC article I was reading, about 2,500 pounds worth of, like, British pound sterling of cocaine.
Oh.
At once. So I want you to scroll down one more picture. So this is from a drug bust in, like, Saudi Arabia, but pigeons are given these little backpacks to transport.
They're literally little hand-sewn backpacks with pills in them. He looks like he's going to school, but like the school of hard knocks.
Oh my god, it's just a little backpack and a pigeon. It's so tiny. And I think this particular pigeon, he had 178 pills of ketamine. That's 178 pills of ketamine in this tiny backpack.
Oh no, you can't even trust the pigeons.
There was, so drug pigeons were, drug pigeons.
Drug pigeons.
They were first used in Colombia, and some were found with 40 grams of weed and 6 grams of cocaine.
Oh my god.
And they were trying to smuggle them into a prison, or out of a prison, I couldn't figure out. But they couldn't, it was so heavy, they couldn't fly over the walls. So I think they were trying to throw them over the prison walls.
That's not how pigeons work. Loaded them down.
In Russia, they also use pigeons to smuggle drugs. So they would put, this is so sad, but I can't stop laughing at this. They would put the pigeons in plastic bottles and throw bottles over the prison walls. Then the prisoners would get the pigeon, take it out of the bottle, attach the contraband or money or whatever to the pigeon, and then set it free, and it would fly back over the wall of the prison.
Traumatized for sure, but it would fly pigeons.
Home. And in Brazil, some were found. A fleet of pigeons was found on the roof of a prison in Brazil, where the prisoners had like their own loft that they used to smuggle cell phones and drugs.
And no one even noticed for how long?
Long enough where they trained prison pigeons to like home to their jail.
A prison? Could you imagine if they took all those pigeons out and then they got out one day and they all just came back?
They just came right, like they're home. That's their home.
Yeah, you have to let them live here now.
Yeah. And their descendants and their descendants and their like it's just gonna be pigeon chaos. It's the pigeon's prison now.
Yeah. Pigeon prison.
That's the history of homing pigeons.
Ending on a good prison note.
But we got to see the tiny backpacks.
Tiny backpack of ketamine. Oh my god. Well, I'm so glad you finally did this one.
Me too.
This is great.
I had a lot of fun researching it. I had no idea pigeons had such an amazing history. Like long history.
Seriously. Long ass history. To the Egyptians.
Mm-hmm. And even maybe before that with ancient Persians.
Wow. Holy shit. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate your little pigeons more if you live in a city with a lot of pigeons.
Yeah. And if someone gifts you pigeons, don't eat them. Even if they're good eatings.
Yeah. Apparently they make great pets.
And dinner, but pets first.
Little chunky birds.
Poor things. I have, even in my small town, we'll be walking downtown. I'm like, that's a fat ass pigeon. They ain't scared to eat.
Mm-mm. When people feed them, they'll just sit and be like, here's some bread. And the pigeons will be like, gobble, gobble. I'm a turkey now. Sorry, I'm getting really tired, so I'm getting very loopy. You have a cousin?
I have a cousin who lured a pigeon in with bits of waffle cone while we were in Florida once. And he caught it in front of everyone on this busy street. Just caught a pigeon with his bare hands. Feathers were going everywhere.
Oh, feathers.
I know. They were feathers because he was flapping. He was like, let me the fuck go. And so Mom was pissed. She's like, I turned my back for 1 minute and you and Zach are trying to lure in a fucking pigeon and then you got one. Why? And then, let's see. I do have one sad story about a pigeon.
Oh, no.
If you would like me to regale you.
Sure.
It's funny, but it's sad. My brother and I lived, like, we could see the school that we went to growing up, like, from our backyard. So it was right there.
I think you've told this story on the podcast before.
Have I? Okay, well,
so.
If you're new here, please. My brother and I were playing baseball at the school's baseball field, and I threw it, he hit it, and the ball immediately hit a pigeon and exploded the pigeon in front of our eyes. DOA, mm-hmm. Dead on arrival, mm-hmm. Just... It was...
That's so sad.
I know, and I was like crying, and Zach's like, why are you crying? It was a pigeon. I'm like, you killed the bird.
An animal.
You killed the bird. I'm telling Mom. But out of all the things, the chances of that are so, like, we didn't even know the bird was there.
Yeah, it just flew in front of you.
What if we fucked up someone's communications?
They never got their message.
No! Like all the mail in the Titanic. They'll never get it.
I'll never get it. That's so sad.
Never.
I don't know if I told you this. Speaking of Titanic, super, super random, but I stumbled upon, it's on YouTube. It is a computer-generated real-time sinking of the Titanic.
What?
And it has, like, little anecdotes that pop up, like, as you view a model of the ship, and it'll tell you, like, at 1:03 p.m. or 1:03 a.m. this happened. 1:04 a.m. this happened in real time. So it's like 3 hours long.
Wow.
But it goes to like from when the Titanic hits the iceberg to when it goes below the ocean.
What I want is a virtual walkthrough of the Titanic. I want to be able to walk the corridors.
So it does have some interior shots. Like there's no like, the first one I watched, I ended up watching two of them because I'm super strange, I guess. I did like speed through them a little bit.
Right.
But the first one I watched, I like better. The second one I think was dramatized a little too much, even though it's from the same like YouTube creator. But the first one doesn't have any people models. But it does go through like replica, like computer generated replicas of the interior of the ship. And there's even some shots where it shows like a hallway being filled with water.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I love that, but I want to be able to control it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Dip into rooms that I want to, somebody should make that.
No, I see what you mean. I'd be surprised that there wasn't anything like that, like a virtual reality.
Like, we have enough info. We have the plans. Somebody make that.
There's literally a replica of the Titanic in Gatlinburg, right?
Yeah, like half of it at least.
Yeah, they should be able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's right next to the upside down house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's do socials.
Yeah. Okay. So if you like this, if you had fun with us, find us on our socials, and you can start out at Facebook,
Ill-Equipped History Podcast group and page,
Gmail,
ill-equippedhistory@gmail.com,
Instagram,
at Ill-Equipped History,
TikTok,
at Ill-Equipped History,
and Patreon.
Patreon.com/ill-equippedhistory. Please donate and you get our bonus episodes. And you can go back and listen to our war animal episode that was recorded November of 2023.
Yeah.
And we talk about a bunch of different war animals, including a little bit more info about Cherami himself.
Exactly. I love it. I also, my brain was going to say Instagram, and what came out of my mouth was Gmail. So if I looked like I had a stroke, that's why.
I think that's why I started going at, and then you didn't. And I was like, ill-equipped.
Yeah. My bad.
Like I knew what your brain was going to do, and then it pivoted, and mine couldn't do it fast enough.
Well, I screwed us both up, so.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So, if you need to smuggle drugs, leave the birds out of it. Even though they're cute in their backpacks.
They're so cute. Just send them to school.
Yeah, seriously. You can put a backpack on a bird, but don't put ketamine in it.
Yeah, don't put drugs in it.
Put tiny notebooks in it. Tiny pencils. A little calculator. Oh my God, we're getting wonky. We gotta go.
We're so tired. So thank you guys for listening, and please don't forget, please vote for us at thepodcastawards.com. We're in the history section.
Fourth down.
Huh? Fourth down, yeah.
Fourth down. Yeah.
It's in alphabetical order. And this is your last chance that we can tell you about before voting closes on September 3rd. So please go do that. We love you.
Yeah, you're the best.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.